All right, welcome back to the Spot the Ball podcast. We took a little vacation time. We had a little hiatus. It's your boy Ron Wells and your boy
Willie Law the third.
coming back to you live from the MyBillReview.com studios. MyBillReview.com saves you money on all your essential services needs. Give them a call, 561-281-6099. That is 561-281-6099. Man, we're back and we're going to work backwards because we got an instant reaction to the NFL news of the day, and that is the Chicago Bears trade.
Robbery. Don't call it a trade. Call it a robbery. Do not start this off with giving me false information about what happened. And I'm not mad at it. I actually love the trade for Chicago. But, man, it was a robbery. They robbed Carolina blind.
All right, so the number one overall pick, the Chicago Bears, got gifted to them like we talked about towards the end of the season back in December.
You did?
With the Texans beating the Bears, beating the Colts that landed the Bears' number one overall pick. They have flipped that number one overall pick. All that talk about, hey, Justin Fields, hey, he's not the quarterback, and we reset the clock, Bryce Young, blah, 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 blah. I love Bryce Young and all. I like CJ Stroud and all, but Justin Fields is the quarterback the Chicago Bears because they have moved that pick for the number 9 overall pick, number 61 overall pick, which is a second round pick, a future first round pick next year from the Carolina Panthers, as well as a 2025 second round pick.
And we know the pick next year is going to be a great one because they're going to be sorry next year too.
Hey, we don't know. Give the Carolina Panthers hope.
You talking about flipping a trade? Y'all capitalize. This is capitalism.
And
this is America.
This is America, Jack. I give you that.
This is America.
But at the end of the day, they also end up with receiver help for Justin Fields, which they were looking for in the first place, and getting DJ Moore, a top 10 receiver in the league. And now you get to pair him with Justin Fields
and Claypool.
But
not once have we talked about how this was a good trade for Carolina because it wasn't.
Hey, wait, hold on. We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
It wasn't. I'm going to let you go.
So with the Bears, right? They dropped down to number 9, which takes them out of some of the top 3 players that I thought were in the draft, outside of the quarterback position, because I never thought they were taking a quarterback. It takes them out of the Jalen Carter sweepstakes. We'll talk a little bit about Jalen Carter because he had an incident that may drop his draft stock. So who knows? He might come down to the Bears. Drops him out of the what's the pass rusher from Alabama? Williams. Is it Williams? Anderson. Will Anderson.
I'm about to say because it's definitely not a Williams.
All right, sorry. It takes them out of the Will Anderson conversation as well. They definitely need upfront help at pass rusher. And this is where I'm going to say that the trade, although great, it was a great trade, great compensation for the trade. I probably would have foregone getting all that draft compensation. I would have probably switched this trade up just a little bit. If I had a choice between DJ Moore and a Brian Burns, I would have taken Brian Burns. If I had a choice of having both DJ Moore and Brian Burns, I would have just said do a pick swap and get DJ Moore and Brian Burns and be done with it.
I think where they're going.
We got all this cap space.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why
I'm thinking that's where they're going.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. With DJ Moore, we still have $86 million in cap space.
That's like free. You really can
So we could have had Brian
Burns. You can try to sell somebody in free agency. That's what I think. In my mind, I think they might be going that free agency route to maybe try to shore up some holes on the defensive side. If that's where they go, especially if you got 86, you can lure that to them, and you can lure the future of the franchise with a young quarterback, with a true new number 1. And if Claypool can dive back into what he did with Pittsburgh like 2 years ago,
being a number 2 receiver is where he needs to be.
So it's like
I give you that. It's just I wanted Brian Burns along with that package.
Brian Burns is a dog. Like
that's the second most sacks since he's entered the league. He has the second most sacks,
he's a dog.
Second most pressures, only to Bosa.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I'm saying that. The Bears do need defensive line help as much as they need offensive line help and receiver help. So they got a lot of holes to fill. They got they got the 9th pick. So there are tackles that will be there at number 9 that will be a pillar of that offensive line. There will be probably a pass rusher there as well at number 9, but I will go into the second round with that. And the Bears do have 2 second-round picks, so that's great now. And then they get a future first next year and a loaded draft. You're going to have Jared Verse in that draft. You're going to have the Alabama pass rushers in that draft again. They got a couple of pass rushers from Alabama and Georgia. So it's not like there's not going to be pass rushers next year's draft as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bears have a lot of cap space. They have a lot of picks, multiple firsts next year. They got basically multiple firsts this year with DJ Moore and then the number 9 pick.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud of the Bears for that. Now, Carolina, where you want to go off, before you do, I'm going to say this.
I don't want to necessarily go off.
I'm going to say this, though, before you have a floor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Since Cam Newton, they have started a plethora of quarterbacks, and none of them got them to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
At least the Bears, since their last drafting of a quarterback, has made the playoffs twice in spite of the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they messed up the Mitchell Trubisky situation by not taking Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes or anybody else in that draft that was better than Mitchell Trubisky, and we're going to talk about who Carolina may take, what I'm saying is at least the Bears have made the playoffs, and Carolina has not been back to the playoffs since Cam Newton left. And so you get a quarterback that you can possibly do that.
You can't. I ain't say you can mold him into a Cam.
No, I'm not saying mold him.
CJ definitely showed us.
I think CJ Stroud is the pick. To be honest with you, if I'm picking Carolina,
and that's what the buzz is. And we're not going to sit here and say CJ is as mobile as Cam was because he's not.
No,
but he definitely showed us in the championship game that he can use his legs.
Exactly.
And so, for one, that's a plus as is in the league because you got to be able to escape and navigate the pocket when need be, especially if you got I ain't gonna say like a bad offensive line play, but not so great offensive line play.
I think the offensive line is fine in Carolina
Mm-hmm.
with Aquanu and all those other pieces that they put together. I don't have an issue with the offensive line. Where I have an issue with Carolina is that they were hamstrung by not having a quarterback. Even with losing Christian McCaffrey, the last game of the season, they were close to making the playoffs.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna talk about my team. Leave us out of this. Talking about they close.
I'm sorry. So sorry. The last 2 games of the year.
We're gonna talk about
with 2 games to go, they could have made the playoffs.
They could have, and that was just only reason.
And then they realized, we might make the playoffs.
Yeah, Tampa just control their own destiny.
Yeah,
with that, and Mike Evans just had a game. If it weren't for Mike Evans having that game, Tampa does not make the playoffs, and we're seeing Carolina against Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot that happened, but like I say, CJ is more so we traded DJ Moore for the number 1 pick and what have you. Who is CJ gonna throw the ball to unless you hit a lick in the draft? Because you just got hit a lick hit on you, so you got to hit one back. Yeah,
you got a lot of cap space.
But again, I mean, you got to see who wants to come. Just freely want to come to Carolina. In rebuild mode, receiver wise, unless you just going for the bag to get the bag, I see where you're going. But with a lot out there, and then something else we're gonna talk about this Lamar Jackson sweepstakes, man. There's a lot in the air of what we're gonna see throughout this offseason. Because for me, I see why Carolina now said they weren't interested in Lamar. I get it.
Yeah, they had the trade.
They had the trade coming. And because it didn't make sense then.
No, but
now it makes sense
now.
It makes sense.
We're working backwards, so you're gonna hear a lot of it.
It makes sense now because we talking about Atlanta, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, like these teams that are saying they uninterested in Lamar Jackson. Cleveland I get because you got Deshaun, you just signed him to the deal.
Yeah,
but
and then you restructured his money.
Right, and so
Miami's not interested. Why?
They just picked up Tua option today.
Yeah,
they just picked up his option today, so that's why they're not interested. So we're starting to see why these teams are saying they're not interested by the moves they're starting to make.
Okay, Carolina and Atlanta said they weren't. So obviously Carolina's not. Atlanta should be, right?
Be in there.
And then you're thinking, how is Atlanta going to get to their quarterback, right? If they were to get to their quarterback,
I guess they got all the faith in Desmond Ridder right now.
Well, we'll see as time will tell.
I guess they got all the faith
and then you saw the Saints, the move that they did to get Derek Carr, and then you had the Jets. They're working. I've been told by a really, really good person that prior to today's news, last night I was told that by Monday, Aaron Rodgers will be a Packer. Will be a Jet by Monday.
Well,
So
we're gonna see.
we're gonna see.
Definitely gonna see. I mean, like I say, if
you got to get the quarterback, and you know that they're gonna get one.
but it's terrible to me. Even like so, Carolina did what Carolina doing. We're gonna trust them with cap space and draft capital.
They got top 10 cap space. They got 22 million still in cap space,
and they can make something work and reconstruct it at the same time, trying to build a future.
So when we're talking about the cap space that they have, I just need people to understand this. Over the cap is the source that I'm using. They've already slotted the money for the number 1 overall pick to Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So that's with the money for the number 1 overall pick. In free agency alone, they have $22 million that they can use. That's not an escrow that can be used towards players in free agency. So they still have that. The Bears bringing in DJ Moore.
Done right. Carolina's like good 3-4 players you can add in there.
Exactly.
Done right.
And then the Bears have $85 million.
Yeah, I'm saying.
So
Bears in prime position to do what they do, like to make a huge jump. Like once they were in a bad situation, a bad position last year because they weren't. It's just more so injuries, that kind of stuff. Just the way the ball bounced, you know what I mean?
I love the way it bounced.
So it was just that. That was the hampering of them last year. But now you talk about you got all these picks and you got a receiver to complement Justin Fields because we've seen what Justin Fields can do passing, let alone really running the ball. He really shows what he can do running the ball late last year.
Yeah.
So now you give him somebody that can literally beat press, beat zone, beat a top corner. Like DJ Moore is a guy that can get open when need be.
Mm-hmm.
You pair that with that, and then if Claypool can be that number 2 to complement that to where you can't double. Look, man, I mean, I'm telling you, like Chicago is gonna be feared because at the end of the day, they was a tricky team to play this year. You didn't want to see them.
They were the last team to beat San Francisco before San Francisco lost in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. You didn't want to see Chicago. They teed up and they asked the Eagles about it.
Yeah,
they played them boys real tough. You know, so it's like that team showed a lot of resiliency and heart last year, and now you just put a couple more pieces in there. We talking about a team that can go to maybe 10 wins this year. You know, I can see it. I definitely can see, especially with if you hit home runs on your picks, your first 2, like your first and second round picks, you hit home runs on that and lure some people in free agency.
Sky's the limit.
It is.
So we're gonna work back a little bit. So as we're talking about the quarterback conversation, we didn't get a chance to speak really. So you're getting this fresh off the dome, and that is what just happened the weekend prior to, and that was the NFL Combine. And leading into the NFL Combine, I'm on Twitter, going back and forth with people, and people have to understand this, right? In scouting and NFL prospects and stuff like that, and I'm not saying I'm a scout, but I like to watch a lot of film in my spare time. So when I'm watching film preparing for college, I've seen these quarterbacks. I've seen these running backs, receivers, et cetera, et cetera. And I ain't saying I'm infallible, but I'm doggone good at what I do. And I also understand the industry as well when it comes to this. This is why we do this. And you're trying to get eyeballs on your product. What are you going to do? You're going to hype up certain attributes that look good on screen. Am I correct?
Correct.
The NFL Combine.
The attribute on the show is me. I look good.
Yeah, he does, because I wouldn't be on here with ugly people.
Oh, my fault.
I don't like ugly people.
Oh, my fault.
So,
this man here, man.
So, with that being said, when you're going to go to a physical, do you want to show off the short, scrawny kid, or do you want to show off the big, fast, strong kid?
You want to show the big, fast, strong kid.
In the NFL Combine, if you are in the circles that know, it is the most glorified of glorified physicals. It was literally created so that NFL teams can get all these players in one place and use the same doctors to do a medical check on NFL prospects coming in. And then they threw in the running, jumping, skipping, and playing. But this is just the medical portion that you don't get to see. That's boring. You don't want to see somebody taking a physical, right?
No.
So they incorporated the running, jumping, skipping, and playing so that they could occupy the players while they were doing medical physicals on other players that were cycling through. It's a 4-day event of physicals and mental test evaluations, so on and so forth, or just a long interview process. Who's going to show best, again, is not the scrawny kids, Bryce Young. Who's going to show best is the big, fast, strong QB, because it's a quarterback-driven league, and that's Anthony Richardson.
That man there. that man there. We talking about a proven draft stock. No matter how much we said about this man throughout the year in college football, like physical traits. Ask Byron Jones, his broad jump, lead him into the first round many years ago.
No, and I hear you.
Many years ago.
And I get you. But last year we had the same thing with Malik Willis.
Mm-hmm.
In the pre-draft process, his draft stock's rising. He ran this. He threw this. Look at the power. Look how stout he is. Reminds me of Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
That's the comp. And if anybody redrafted that draft, they would have taken Jalen Hurts, even though we don't think that he's limited throwing the ball going into the season. We would have drafted him in the top 10. And Malik Willis was slotted by Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Daniel Jeremiah, all had him in the top 8 picks of the draft. Can we remind the people where Malik Willis went?
In my mind, I knew where we was going with it. I just wanted to rebut it. Maybe it's a system thing, bro.
Malik Willis,
maybe he's in Tennessee, but he
went in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
Into the 3rd round at that. They traded up in the 3rd round
to get him. Nobody could figure out why his stock was
falling, because the Combine is a TV show. Kenny Pickett wouldn't have gone to any other team in the 1st round. I have this on a great source. He would not have gone in the 1st round if it wasn't for the Steelers playing football in the same building as him.
Mm-hmm. They got to see every single week.
And he just had a great rapport, and relationships are relationships. So when I say all this to say that now, fresh out the draft, the same people who were saying that the draft stock is rising on TV for you guys, for Anthony Richardson, nobody runs a 4.4. No one's done a broad jump. No one's done a vertical like this. The people that I've spoken to coming out of the draft, and you can even hear it on a podcast that I listen to, Move the Sticks. I'll pump them up. Bucky Brooks just said his top 3 quarterbacks. Guess who he said his top 3 quarterbacks were? Because my top 3 will match his top 3 all this time.
I'm going to go Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go CJ.
Mm-hmm.
And don't tell me it's Levis.
Nope.
Slovis?
Nope.
I'm trying to think of quarterbacks and who will be the 3rd. Because
who had a great season this year out of nowhere, but had a shit ton of starts? Sorry for that. Who had a lot of starts?
Can I get the conference?
SEC. Great year this year. Unexpected. We thought they were going to do good, but not that good.
Oh, are we talking about Hendon Hooker?
Exactly.
Hendon Hooker.
Nobody was talking about him at the draft. And Bucky Brooks, in his 5 quarterback or his top 5 list of each position, has Bryce Young, number 1, followed by C.J. Stroud and Hendon Hooker. 4th is Anthony Richardson. 5th is Levis.
And still in my opinion, if Hendon doesn't tear the ACL, that's number 1 off the board.
Yeah,
that's not, to me. That's number 1 off the board because I feel like more mobile than CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Better arm.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, if you don't like what I'm saying, I don't care. We seen what Hendon did and how he made Jalen Hyatt. Well, I ain't say he made Jalen Hyatt because Jalen Hyatt even did it after the fact. But it's the fact that connection between him and Jalen Hyatt, and Jalen Hyatt may be literally the first receiver off the board. In my opinion, I would take Hyatt because he has the length, he has the speed. In college, yes, he could beat the zone, he can beat the man, but it's a different ball game in the league. But Jalen Hyatt is the first one off the board, in my opinion. But yeah, no, definitely. If you don't to the ACL, man, Hendon is definitely that guy coming off first.
And everybody who leading up to the Combine, when I watch film, I had it the same way. I had a Bryce Young. It's just something about him you just can't teach. How quiet his feet are in the pocket, out of the pocket when he rolls out. You wish you would tuck it and run it sometimes, but he still ends up making a great pass. He has a good enough arm in any type of weather to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
C.J. Stroud has the best anticipatory throwing in the draft, not taking anything away from him. In most years, he'd be the first quarterback off the board too.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker, after what people were saying at the Combine about him, but his film. It's amazing this past year. The leap that you wanted Will Levis to make, Hendon Hooker made.
And it's
in the starts.
We'll have in the same conference, but it's like
no, you saw them on the same field. It wasn't a comparison.
I was saying he's the same conference, but I was about to say like the schedule. I'm saying he's in the same conference as Hendon Hooker, so I can't say that's a valid argument because they're in the same conference.
Same conference. But they played on the same field.
When
it
came matchup wise, when it came to Alabama, when it came to Georgia, even though Georgia ran away with it.
Mm-hmm. Hendon Hooker looked like he belonged.
He looked good. Bama, he showed us like, listen, I don't think nobody gave Tennessee a chance. I didn't say nobody gave Tennessee a chance, but it was we were going to proceed that Bama was still going to do what Bama does. Bryce Young was a good quarterback. He's better than Hendon Hooker. Bama's going to come out on top.
Yeah.
All right. Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt showed y'all something. So he had great quality starts in the SEC.
Let me know, right? There was a list that they put out with the most athletic quarterbacks, right? That's ever gone through the process, and they posted it, and Anthony Richardson was number one.
Mm-hmm.
On that list, they had some names that you would have remembered, like Dante Culpepper, like Cam Newton, like Colin Kaepernick.
Dante Culpepper had a kick.
Yes, he did. But here's the difference between the three quarterbacks, and Andrew Luck was on that list, and Robert Griffin III as well. Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III both ended their careers due to injury relatively early. Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, Dante Culpepper. If you want to put Anthony Richardson in that class to compare him to those guys, all of those guys have double the starts, if not triple the starts in college than Anthony Richardson, number one. Number two, Colin Kaepernick, Dante Culpepper, and Cam Newton had not one single offensive player on their college roster. Not only didn't get drafted, didn't make an NFL roster. That means the 10 other players that they played with in college did not make an NFL roster. Anthony Richardson has Osiris Torrance, who's going to be a first-round guard, the first guard off the board, offensive lineman. He's going to have Robert Girard, his left tackle, make the league. He's going to get drafted on day 3. His left guard is going to USC right now on one of the biggest NIL deals that came out when he transferred from the University of Florida. His right tackle also went to USC as well, and both are projected next year's draft to be top 50 picks. Those are just his linemen. So when you say he avoided pressure and he only got sacked 12 times, he had 4 offensive linemen that are going to be in the NFL and drafted in the top 100 picks. Then you get Travis Etienne. So his running back will be drafted as well. That is the difference. And then to make it even worse for Anthony Richardson, because you think I'm trying to pile on, Anthony Richardson in high school threw for 53% passing. Anthony Richardson in college threw for 54% passing. So if he couldn't throw for 60+% in high school.
That's the average, and especially in college, you want to go 60%. In the league, you want to go 60%.
Exactly. He couldn't throw for over. Most good high school quarterbacks will translate as completion percentage. Most high school, yes, they're 75-80%. He threw 53%. College quarterbacks throw about 68%. He threw 54%. So if you don't think his high school coach was any good, if you don't think his college coaches, Dan Mullen, who worked with Dak Prescott, Billy Napier, who worked with with Bryce Young his freshman year, worked with Tua his freshman and sophomore year, worked with Jalen Hurts when he was at Alabama as well. You don't think he's any good, Billy Napier. You think he wasted his talent. Dan Mullen told you he couldn't start over Emory Jones. But all of a sudden, he makes it to the NFL, and they're supposed to be the ones that bring it out. I honestly don't believe he's a first or second round pick, but I understand he's going to go in the second round, maybe. I don't think he's going to be a first round pick. That remains to be seen. I put my money where my mouth is on that subject. But I don't think he's the number 1 overall pick because Carolina moved up there. They're not moving up there for him.
Negative.
I think that
bruh, if you tell me the Carolina are going to go draft Anthony Richardson, I'm telling you now, they forget a robbery. That is a heist. Chicago put off a heist if they go and go get Anthony Richardson.
I think Bryce Young, if he was 6'2",
he's number 1, unquestionable. He's 5'11", 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, people are worried about him getting hit. and he has missed games to ankle injuries because people hit him in the leg. But what it boils down to is this: if Hendon Hooker doesn't get hurt, he's the number one quarterback off the board because Bryce Young's 5'11".
Easy.
You're bigger than Bryce Young.
I'm 5'11".
You're 5'11", but you weigh more than him.
A lot more.
Thank you.
A lot more.
I'm 5'10", 230.
A lot more.
This
I'm
clown.
5'11", 220. I'm a lot more.
So you get where we're coming from here. Like where I have it, and I think you might agree, is I have it Young, Stroud, and Hooker in that order in the first round. If someone wants to take a chance on Anthony Richardson in the second round, God bless you.
I feel like somebody need to take a chance on Hendon, truthfully.
Yeah, Hendon is going in the first round. I think he's going to slowly creep up, and you're going to start to hear his name more and more and more. As far as the rest of the NFL Combine is concerned, we got to talk about this. Jalen Carter had a warrant issued for him, unfortunately, due to an incident that happened where in another car, 2 Georgia players were hurt. One Georgia player was hurt, another one died, and a Georgia staffer also died in that car accident. I hope that, those don't stick with him. It's misdemeanors, it's reckless driving and things of that nature, but at the same time, everybody kind of needs healing in this situation. Mm-hmm. They were celebrating the national title right after that game, and it really is tragic what happened in the aftermath because of how happy all these people were, and these people were cut down short in the youth of their life. Right. But Jalen Carter, he was considered the number 1 overall prospect. And just talking about Jalen Carter, the football player, it's some of the best defensive tackle film I've ever seen. Imagine Aaron Donald being 6'4". That's basically what I watched. He teleports. I've never seen somebody that big move from zero, the center over the center A gap, move to the B gap on both sides either way, or move to the C gap both sides either way, or going outside of the tackle on a stunt faster than he does. He moves from one hole to the next like nobody's business. He can get skinny, and he's huge.
Yeah. The only thing I'm just concerned about the whole situation is, like I said, you don't wish bad on nobody, want bad on nobody.
No, and it wasn't something that they were being malicious towards each other. It's just,
it was just we were being
young and stupid.
Yes.
Young and stupid.
My only thing, like I say, the only thing is the fact that with him leaving the scene and coming back and telling the authorities that he wasn't there, he heard the accident from.
These are all alleged facts, but yeah, it sounds about.
If that's true, that's the only thing that worries me about the case is the fact that if that's the truth, you left and came back of a scene of people dying.
Yeah, your friends.
That's serious.
Yeah, and in football, it's family.
You know what I mean? So that's what was, and hindsight kind of hurt stock. It's kind of what people looking at.
Yeah, because you can't draft somebody that high and preach character and don't give good character. Mm-hmm. Like people are literally putting $20 million in your face for the first overall pick. Mm-hmm. People are putting in a top 10, they're putting $15, $20 million in your face. Mm-hmm. You have to know everything about everybody because that's a fully guaranteed money for 4 years minimum and a fifth year option. So at minimum, if he's in the top 10, he's getting 14, 15 million. Top of the draft, no, I don't think number one that's a likely possibility anymore, but because of the trade that happened. But even still, it's life-changing money. And I'm pretty sure he's torn up like nobody's business, but at the end of the day, he wasn't no other driver in the other car that, you lost those lives and people did participate in it, but he was a part of participating with it. And, allegedly this is what went down and you got to see how it shakes out. But I still believe he's a first round pick. I think he's a top 10 pick, even with these allegations. But at the end of the day, we had to speak on that.
Because so you say that, and then you just go to look at different examples. And one main example is just even Laramie Thompson.
Yeah.
He went to gas mask and how bad he dropped off of that and just having a picture out.
Sure. And same thing with Warren Sapp back in the day. I know this is a little bit before your time. It was around the time you were born, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I remember Warren Sapp because he was a local guy. He had a big party, the whole nine. Everybody thought he was going top 3 in the draft. He dropped to 12 because of a marijuana allegation as well. Mm-hmm. Marijuana was just like, it felt like the murder charge back then. But at the end of the day, to everybody involved, we hope the best for you, but at the same time, we just had to mention that.
I want to go to this Lamar Jackson situation.
All right.
And before we go to college.
All right, so Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens have reached an impasse, and the Baltimore Ravens basically gave him the non-exclusive franchise tag, which means that Lamar Jackson can sign an offer sheet to anyone who is willing to negotiate with him, and the Ravens could either match it, like in basketball, as a restricted free agent, or allow him to go for 2 first-round draft picks. Give me your thoughts on it. I'll give you mine.
It's wild. Lamar Jackson is who I just said he is. He's Lamar Jackson. He's him. We talking about a former MVP, somebody that led you to a playoff win, that wants a bag for an organization that's not necessarily properly building the offense around him. Like, you'll go get defensive pieces, no question. We understand that much. But you won't go get the necessary offensive skill pieces, because we knew that you always had a very good offensive line. But we talking about putting receiver that's going to go out and go get it with him. You don't do that because you drafted JK. And you had a good stable of backs. You had Mark Ingram when Mark Ingram was like literally on his way out, but still doing things. So you had that offense, and you're not really worried about run game because you incorporate Lamar inside the same run game, and it's still potent. It's still potent. So you don't necessarily put the receivers around this man, because even if to go back to the draft when he drafted Marquise, I kept saying that, the Ravens gonna get DK. They need a receiver, they're gonna get DK. And when they got Marquise, we see how that panned out. We see what DK is doing. I'm thinking DK was gonna be that first receiver off the board. I was wrong, but that's what I thought, and we see how that panned out. So again, we want a deal that's better than Deshaun, because Deshaun reset the market, and that's what the league is. I had a conversation with a coworker that he doesn't really watch football. He's a basketball guy. And so he was asking me, like, what do I think about Lamar Jackson trying to get the deal, get the guaranteed money? I said, exactly this. You got to pay him. Why? Because you gave somebody that was suspended for 12 games, 233, a lot of guaranteed money, and I'm more accomplished. Yes, Deshaun went to the playoffs. I get it. But Deshaun ain't got no MVP.
Deshaun ain't won a playoff game.
So that's why I say he went to the playoffs. I get it. But like I said, he doesn't have that on his mantle. You know what I mean? So, and quite frankly, I don't feel like Deshaun gives you what Lamar can give you. So even if we just talking about that, I said the same stuff I said, if you think about it, you familiar with Jalen Ramsey? I asked him, he said, yes. I said, say Jalen Ramsey, you know he top dog, and somebody lesser than him gets the deal. Now I'm Jalen Ramsey. I know I'm the best. You got to give me this or 500,000 more, because he's reset the market. So Deshaun reset the market. And now I don't know if these reports that teams are trying to work with the Ravens to try to dim the market back down to where you don't have to give this man that much money. No, that is wild. Don't wait on your guaranteed bread, bro, because you deserve it. They should have, if they were smart, they would have locked him in after the MVP season.
Yeah,
they would give him that extension then, because you can get somebody an extension. I would have given my extension then when the price ain't this. Now that I'm asking this, and I see that this man over here got 233.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Come on, man. This man just got 233, and he was suspended for 3/4 of the year, and I can't get that. And I got y'all the MVP. I won y'all a playoff game against a rival that's the monetary, so we wouldn't walk on nature. Like I did that. I did that. You feel me? And I can't get that deal. Don't waver. And it's wild because you put a non-exclusive tag. And even with a non-exclusive tag, Geno's still making more than that man on a non-exclusive tag. Geno's making more than this man this year. This man making 32. Geno making about what, 40 this year?
35,
37. So Geno Smith is making more than me. I'm not as good as Geno Smith. So, I'm not as good as Kirk Cousins getting the bag. I'm better. I know I'm better than I'm the best. I almost got. Listen, I'm top 2 quarterback in the league. Because you're gonna argue Pat Mahomes, and Pat Mahomes arguably is the best right now.
No, Pat Mahomes is the best. He's pretty much. You can argue the fact that he's probably better than Burrow. You can argue the fact that he's probably better than Josh Allen because he has an MVP, and those two don't. I'm not wavering from you, by the way. The NFL just proved that the Deshaun Watson deal is not a bad deal because Deshaun Watson has a clause in his deal where the Browns can restructure his contract however they see fit as long as he gets his money. And what they do is convert most of that year's money from annual salary to signing bonus. And they can do that every bleeping year. And do you know they went from having a $60 million cap hit for Deshaun Watson this week, by giving him the cash up front, it went down to $3.58 million.
And they get rid of him if they want to. If something go wrong.
Not even get rid of him if they want to.
It's not a big hit.
It's not a big hit at all because at the end of the day, the Browns have literally gone back underneath the cap, and they are underneath the cap by $20 million.
Better than Tampa.
So, with that being said, you know, all this stuff about how you can't do that deal, you can't do that deal, you can't do that deal.
Reconstruction deals is
amazing.
Like,
they got rid of $33 million of cap space in that one move, in a flick of a wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think the move for the Ravens is that they want other teams to do the work. They want them
see
to.
What they want to pay him.
I think they want to see what they want to pay him. And if they get the fully, I think any deal that somebody tosses their way, they're gonna give it. They're gonna match it. And I think that's what's making the rest of the league mad right now is that
they playing the game right.
They playing the game right. And to be honest with you, I don't think Lamar's even mad at it. He's like, all right, cool. Let another team offer me something. I'll go talk with them. I'll get my deal. I'll come back to you and say X, Y, Z.
They've been a dangerous game though.
But here's the dangerous game that they could do, right? You could have a division rival who doesn't have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. I don't know, like Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Say, let me poison pill these guys. If I get Lamar, I take him away from a division rival, right?
And I'm good.
I'm good.
And
if I don't get Lamar and they match it, then I've killed all their cap space.
Come on.
So you can poison pill them.
And that's what I'm saying. If I'm Lamar, I think of that. Because guess what? As I was saying, you got to think of all the years because you picked up an option. You played an option. This is 6th year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
This is year 6.
And he's only 26, by the way. So people worried about his injury history.
Still in his prime.
He's still in his prime. He has literally 5 more years of production as a mobile quarterback. Most mobile quarterbacks, if you want to use it, right? Cam Newton fell off at 33 or 32. Colin Kaepernick, 31. Who else was a mobile quarterback? Oh, Michael Vick, 34. And Michael Vick went away for 2 years. So let's just call it 31 again, right? So even at 31, if he doesn't make it to the next deal, this deal is going to be massive.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're gonna give him $250 million regardless.
You run this game because you want to match it. But if I'm a player, I'm internalizing this. You didn't think much of me to get me right and build a team around me, the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you put me on a non-exclusive. No, Kansas City ain't never think about putting that boy Mahomes on a non-exclusive. They gave that man the deal.
They gave him the deal
because what he was worth to them.
But Kansas City is a smart franchise. They gave him that deal so early before Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
They gave, and then what is already poison pilling Baltimore now? They learned from Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to get them is Joe Burrow's about to get a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So the deal again for Lamar, the price is going to go up.
Because this is this year.
What if Herbert gets his deal after Burrow? You know he's better than Justin Herbert. And then Tua just got the $25 million got his option picked up. But what if the Dolphins work out a deal with Tua that makes your deal even more impossible?
It's real dangerous, man.
It's
for many, many different factors.
But I do know this: where the action is going to pick up for Lamar. Please understand, Lamar Jackson is not going to be a fast deal. I don't think. I would be surprised if this deal gets done in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
But after the NFL draft, where people have the 24 and 25 first round picks, let's just say like the Rams, let's just say like the Dolphins, if they want to still move on from Tua, they have the option to do so. Like, you do understand that more teams will have more ammunition to say, all right, forget it. I would be surprised if Lamar is not signed or in Baltimore after July 15th. I'll be very surprised.
I want to tell him.
I bet you do.
I remember Tampa. I was trying to look because I was looking over here. That's why I'm all over the place. I had seen an alert earlier that Tampa reconstructed Vita's deal.
Yeah, but they still only $5 million under the cap. They still $5 million over the cap.
Oh man, that's way better than what it was before they did that.
I know.
That's why I was trying to look on. I saw it and just never. I didn't click on the day, so I was trying to see what it was because, for one, in my opinion, great move by cutting Donovan Smith. That boy ain't block a soul.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Brate was Cam Brate. I'm pretty sure they're probably more so buying in on a hype of Cade Otton. Mm-hmm. Lenny is Lenny, and they trust in Rachaad White.
Mm-hmm.
And so they definitely made a lot of moves. And again, it was just now, there was a whole bunch of talk. Trade Mike Evans, trade Chris Godwin. And I'll tell you this, and I told me and my brother agreed. If Tampa was to trade Mike Evans, you can have my card, Tampa. I am no longer a fan. You can have my card. I'm so serious. If you traded Mike Evans, I was no longer a fan. I would have to find another team. Y'all pin it in my classroom, it's off my wall. And you still got time to get me pissed off and do it.
Well, some teams I'm looking at for Lamar who are currently in position. So you're looking at the Lions. They have 2 first-rounders this year.
Mm-hmm.
If the Titans do some more maneuvering, the Titans, I can see them poison pilling them. I could see if they can do some more reconstruction, the Commanders, because they're far back in the draft as well. The team that I really can see, but I wouldn't want to go there if I'm Lamar. I would for one thing, but I wouldn't for the other. And that's the Raiders. The Raiders have the cap space to give them a fully guaranteed deal with $40 million under the cap. I just don't like the coach, Josh McDaniels.
No, if I was Tampa,
but you got Waller, you got Adams, you got pieces, Jacobs on the franchise tag.
You got pieces.
So
you got pieces,
and the defense is decent enough. And you're in a state with no state income tax. If I'm Lamar, that's where I would go.
Yeah,
I would try to broker a deal with the Raiders.
Yeah, Tampa is going to have to try to reconstruction these 2 big deals they made in the last couple of years, which is Carlton Davis and Chris Godwin.
So what I'm looking at with the Raiders, right? Raiders are $37 million under the cap.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so $37 million, 5th most cap space.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders are picking. Survey says, where are we going with this? PFF. They are picking in the draft 7th overall.
Okay.
So you give them the 7th overall this year, 2025 first round pick next year.
You see the cap pick,
huh?
The cap.
I'm trying to find it again.
It's right there.
Yeah, sorry.
You going everywhere, man. Old people.
Look, you know what? This is bad. What, over the cap?
Mm.
Okay.
You got it. I was going to look at it. You got it.
So with the Raiders, I see they have the cap space, number 1. Number 2, they have the 7th overall pick. And then you can give them a first round pick next year. And there you go. Because the Raiders have the running back. They have the tight end that Lamar would need. And you have a big receiver with Adams who's going to get open. He's one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best receiver in the league. Mm-hmm. So Lamar with Adams, Waller, and Jacobs, that's a good nucleus.
Yeah, no.
And Josh McDaniels in his second year.
It's going to be fun to see. Tampa, do what you got to do, man. Get under that cap. Reconstruct the Carlton and Chris. But now, on our way out, we'll kind of touch on NBA next week because we had to get through NFL, and I think we got to get through college. We got to.
All right.
That's a lot that's happening. And most importantly, spring ball is upon us.
Oh, I love it.
Spring ball is upon us. We're one step closer to football again.
Mm-hmm.
So let's you start off with Florida State, man. How you feeling? What moves have they made since last time we talked? And how you feeling going to spring ball?
It's been all quiet. I like quiet. I am a quiet off-season proponent. I like continuity. I like and I like injury-free. And Florida State has come into the spring without incident. Of course, we did really well in the offseason when it comes to talent acquisition. Picked up really good pieces at corner, defensive line. So Fentrell Cypress, the corner out of the University of Virginia, he came over to Florida State. Defensive line, we got Braden Fisk from Western Michigan. We also got Edmund Gilbert, who's a pass rusher from South Carolina. We kept our linebackers. We retained Jared Verse. We retained all of our other DBs outside of Jamie Robinson, who looks like he's going to be a day 2 pick, top 50 overall pick in the NFL draft. He won Senior Bowl MVP. So we lost him, but we still have Shaheem Brown and Akeem Dent. Now, on the offense, we picked up the best guard in the transfer portal in Jeremiah Byers out of UTEP. We picked up a guard out of Auburn. We also picked up a guard out of Colorado as well. So we solidified the offensive line where we're going to look like we're going to get some push. And I like seeing some of the stuff coming out of the practice footage. This weekend was Legacy Weekend at Florida State. We've had Jameis Winston back on campus. We had Derwin James back on campus, Jalen Ramsey back on campus, along with all these recruits that we are trying to land. Just saw a little report that Charles Lester, the number 1 DB in this nation, said he almost committed after talking to Jameis. So we'll see how that goes. With that being
Florida State.
Hey, look. With all being said, though, I like quiet. And we also locked in our offensive line coach who was up for a couple of jobs this past offseason. He got an extension of 3 years, and his salary will go from $1.1 million to $1.2 to $1.5 in the next 3 years. So we locked him in. We locked in our defensive coordinator who's improved our defense 3 years running. We locked him in at $1 million, 1.1, and 1.5 in his final season in 2026. So it looks like we took care of business in keeping continuity on offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. And of course, the head coach got an extension, and then he gave back $1 million to the school right after that.
That's love.
So
that's love.
And if you thought our head coach was going to stop racing fat people because Robert Cooper left and he's now in the NFL draft and looks like he might go USFL route, but we'll see. No, he's still racing our defensive tackles, and your boy Jackson lost to him today, but he also what's his name? Darrell Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Darrell Jackson went from being 300 pounds to 326 pounds because he came to a real strength and conditioning program here at Florida State. Looking stronger, leaner, and he is stronger and leaner here at Florida State. That was another pickup on the defensive line that we picked up. You know, there was a little saga behind that, but we ended up getting them on campus signed and delivered. Yeah, man, we got some good pieces coming in. You know, wrapped up the top 13 class in the nation after it was all said and done. So that's Florida State. We just over here just being quiet, you know, quiet talent. Looking like a big boy football program, you know. And I just want to go injury-free. There's no predictions on this upcoming season. I'm going for injury-free off seasons right now. Injury-free off seasons. I ain't even mentioned the offense. I ain't mentioned Jordan Travis. I ain't mentioned none of that. Because, you know, those are just known commodities.
Are you done?
So you know, we had a good off season. We ain't talked since, you know, Super Bowl.
You know, that's been a while. That's the last time we really texted about sports. What besides today?
Yeah, you know.
Besides today, that's where we kind of sprung into action that we text about the trade, and then it was like, "What you doing this evening?" We could not catch each other, man. That's what it was, scheduling conflicts.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's been a minute. But no, on the other side, yeah, I am the complete opposite of continuity on my side. The complete opposite.
So, University of Miami, can we talk about some continuity?
Yeah, there's none. But no, I'm gonna tell you this. It's also a good thing because if it was continuity within that program, man, we had another down year. I'm just like that. I'm gonna be completely honest. Ain't no wait year 2 with Steele, Gaddis.
Oh, Gaddis got a job, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I saw a co-offensive coordinator. He ain't an offensive coordinator by himself, but he co-offensive coordinator, so it's okay. But
he's in Maryland.
Yeah. Anyway, that's okay.
They won more games than Miami.
It's okay. Yeah, it's his fault. Hey, you go to a team that can actually have an offense, and we see what he do. When he sabotage them, we gonna find out because he only a coach. He's not the whole head man.
Don't he got Tua little brother Talea or whatever?
We're gonna see if Tua little brother digress regress like Tyler Van Dyke did. But anyhow, going for it. No, like I said, it's good. It's good because, like I said, Lance Guidry, when we last spoke, Lance Guidry was hired when we was here. And
yes, he was.
It was a good hire.
He was
us.
just hired.
Great hire. In the meantime, since we've been gone, got Shannon Dawson, comes from Houston, brings in the air raid. And we talked many times about you have to have an offense that fit the style of play of your players in your backyard. You can't run a different offense that's not going to fit them. And when we talked about Matt Lee being in that scheme, and he may not be as effective as he was because in the power scheme, and I said, well, I hope that Cristobal gets out his ways and don't be stubborn and try to run another power offense. And like you said, you got to get Shannon Dawson. His quarterback threw for 4,000 of them. And he's more mobile than Tyler, but it is what it is. Maybe that we'll get what we've seen with Rhett Lashley and Tyler and what we see now in his offense, because he sold Cristobal on the air raid, but more so with incorporating the run at the same time.
No, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the hire on the surface. My only issue is the issue that we spoke about when you got Guidry was your strength and conditioning program.
It's close to spring.
It was too close to spring, and I don't know how good the spring is supposed to be because
you got a lot of injuries and people not participating.
That too. But your strength and conditioning program is supposed to be in line and lockstep with what your coordinators expect out of your players.
And we can't
rewind the clock.
We can't. And it's just more so you got to do what you have, and it's. I don't know
if you have the body types to run. That's a drastic change on both sides. You're running a 3-3-5 on defense that you never ran in your entire existence, and except for the only person that's run it is your defensive lineman who came from West Virginia. What's your boy's name? Messidor. Messidor is the only one that's run this system, and then on offense, I think Van Dyke's the only one left. That's kind of ran something like this system.
Don is still there, but Don is not proven to be healthy.
He played in the system really. He's played like 7 games.
And the 3 amigos was there, but Vermelo is gone. Yeah. So just Bashard and Jacoby. And so
they didn't play a lot in that system.
Yeah, but I mean, just it's names that was there. Yeah. It was names that was there, but it's names that have a chance to emerge. They're in that position to emerge. They're becoming elder statesmen, and so now is their time. But at the same time, too, you get a coordinator that you can finally go out and maybe land a big name receiver that you've been lacking on, which we say it's still a couple of big names out there. Gary Bryant is still out there. You know what I mean? So you try to land him, it'll be amazing. That just him alone, it'd be amazing to kind of help improve your receiver room. And then, like I said, but you also get you a guy that actually can coach receivers out there and bring Kevin Beard back home. So in my mind, in the receiver room, that's a great hire. Then Tim Harris. You get his son in there from UCF, and it's service-wise looks like good hires to me. But like we said, the clock is ticking, and only thing I would say is different about this time, or I can say this time, but just with the program now is more so maybe the buy-in. With coaches before, many player buy-in obviously was not there. Bad culture was there. So maybe with the buy-in and the no BS approach with Cristobal, maybe these guys go in and actually put in that work. Like say you hear offensive linemen say, man, this offense is very easy to learn. Very offense easy is very to grasp. But again, this is talking spring. You got to go through the summer. Then you got to go face somebody else with different colors, different helmets, and see what it does. You know what I mean? So it's that's
what everybody is just being behind the 8 ball.
It's gonna be tough.
That's the biggest thing for me.
And I'm not here to say it's going to be, we're going to be a top 15 finish. I'm not saying that. I would love to see it, but I'm not saying that. I just know surface-wise, I seen what I can get out of Tyler Van Dyke, which you had top 10 pick projection, top 5 quarterback off the board in the Rhett last year offense before Gaddis come in. So we seen what we can see in Van Dyke. If you can get that same thing out of him that he showed with Lashley, and then you finally get a scheme to where your receivers can actually –
how many
get
years
open? Van Dyke?
Van Dyke have?
This is it. He was projected to go out last year, but he got hurt.
No, I get that. But
he came in with De'Aaron, or when De'Aaron came in, he had to play. When I said, after the year before, and then got thrust into action when De'Aaron came. Then had last year, and I got this year. So I believe this is a senior year.
No, he was a sophomore last year. He has 2 more years. So I think okay. I'm I'm not making my predictions yet,
Mhm.
but let's just say for all intents and purposes, right?
Mhm.
This may be a lost season for Miami where they're struggling to make a bowl game. But 2024,
Mhm.
if he's eligible to return, which it looks like he may be eligible to return, it's going to be a junior year for him because he had a COVID season.
Mhm.
So
that's what I'm saying. That's where the sophomore come in.
yeah.
Because
So
he came out of the 2020 class. So
yeah,
2023.
So he's going to have to 2024, the end of 2024, 2025. Let's just say 2024 season.
Mm-hmm.
That's the season I see for Miami to put up or shut up.
Yeah.
I don't think this year, and I'm not giving them a pass. I'm just saying
it's just so much has happened.
It's true. Timing is terrible. Because think about it like this, right? And I'm comparing here. Miami hires their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator and on February 10th and February 13th. Meanwhile, Clemson hires OC. They hired their offensive coordinator January 13th, before people even came on campus to start the new semester. That month of installation with mat drills and things of that nature that leads into the fall prepares your offense
for
what's to come. And you don't get that here. And that's my issue. You're not having, and with Clemson, they've had the same voices in their ear for a while, for Dabo and all those other people for a while. And yes, Riley, Lincoln Riley's brother, Garrett Riley is a new voice. His system's not so foreign to the style that Clemson play. It's just a more elevated action.
And that's where it comes to. Where it's depends. Like the success of Miami depends on how successful these young men want to be. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to work? What work are you going to
too far behind the
in?
ball?
But that's what I'm saying. It's what work you're going to put in. What extra?
Yeah.
Because you're on spring break right now. So are you out vibing right now, or are you out grinding right now? Are you out to try to make sure that you're going to get this situated and put into play, or you're playing? Come on, I was a kid. I was in college. I know what I was doing in spring break. That's what I'm saying. It all depends on.
In Miami?
Listen. Again, with all reason.
Matter of fact, what are we doing tonight?
Boy, I'm old. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like I was a college kid, man. I was, and I understand.
I'm married with 2 kids, and you just mentioned spring break.
My spring break is next week. So
wow,
that's what I'm saying. So it's like, again, I understand.
Where's the Ty Tribbett?
Come on now, man. I understand what it is and what you want to do, especially in Miami. But at the same time, too, it's more so we can get all this talk about we want to bring the program back to what it used to be. It's a program of tradition.
I just think this year's just going to be.
And I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah,
I was just saying it hinges on how bad do they want it, or how simple is the offense going to be for them this year that is still effective enough to really. I ain't gonna say again. I'm not saying to go to the college football playoff, but go to an Orange Bowl and win an Orange Bowl. Even try to compete. Or like, listen, I'm just saying how bad you want it. Did I say they was gonna do it? That ain't come out of my mouth.
I think even how bad you want it's so far behind the 8 ball when it comes to when you made this hire that I don't think. Look, I would tell you to be happy with 8.
And listen, I don't accept mediocrity.
Well, this year, if you got 8, you can sell to those new recruits that were almost back, and next year is like the year that you get 10 plus.
But see,
if
there's any optimism, again, it hinges behind the arm of Van Dyke.
I get it, but this coach that your offensive coordinator that you just brought in, he literally was given play calling duties to start the season, and they took it back by October.
I understand.
So I'm being more realistic about it. It's not like you hired Garrett Riley on January 13th.
Bro, this is all information that's been digested. I understand. So it's just you put like I don't
think an Orange Bowl is.
I've seen the success in year 1 with last year as far as offense from where it went from before when they had Ineos and literally the transition from last year. So I've seen like the day and night.
But I don't think you have that roster.
No.
I don't think you have that roster.
But again, this is
nobody built a roster at Miami. The roster that Lashley got, right, and Enos had. Nobody built a roster like Mark Richt. Since your championship days, nobody has built a roster like Mark Richt. The problem with Mark Richt and why he got, basically mutually let go from Georgia was that Mark Richt could build a roster.
Couldn't
finish with the roster. And he wasn't willing to go the extra mile with the bagmen for
that. Facts.
For what they're doing now at Georgia. And now they didn't even need the bagmen, it's just NIL stuff.
They do.
What I'm getting at is that roster is not what this roster is.
But see, this is where, again, this is the days of the transfer portal. So the most important piece, and this is what, and I'm gonna tell you this: what did we argue the very first day before we started the podcast? What aspect of the game did we argue? If you remember, what aspect of the game for Florida State and Miami? What was the first thing we argued about?
The quarterback.
No.
What?
It's a skill group. I mean, it's not a skill group, but it's a group. What was the first group we argued about in its totality and looked up information?
Trenches.
Come on, man. So
yeah, but I hear you. But
you
did in the transfer portal with the trenches, I respect it, and I don't think you did those players a service by bringing in the coaching so late.
Listen, sometimes
I know how it works out.
It is what it is.
I know how it works out. And it's just, I'm going with the information that I have, and with the information that I'm having, I'm just saying 6 to 8 wins is where I'm sitting at right now. But I haven't predicted. I'm not bringing all the predictions out because I don't know yet.
Because again,
gotta look at health.
Look at health for sure. Look at it for sure. I'm in my mind. You can't count wins, but I'm just telling you right now what I feel is guaranteed for them. You have the Boston College, feel like it's guaranteed. Louisville, feel like it's guaranteed. That's 2 already.
How?
Against Louisville?
How?
I feel like guaranteed. I don't care what's going on in Louisville. I do not care what's going on. I understand. I know what I just said. I don't care what's going on in Louisville.
Okay.
And by that time,
you haven't beaten them in a long time.
That's Kizzy. That's his last 2 times we played Louisville. We whooped them. The last 2 times, and that's within the last. That's when you forgot D Wiggins not over there at Louisville. D Wiggins took the top off on them multiple times, and then that's when De'Aaron first came over.
Okay.
So Jaren beat them, and then De'Aaron beat them. That's the last 2 times we played Louisville. That's the last 2 wins.
Okay.
So you got that. Obviously, Georgia Tech, Temple, Cookman. That's 5 off the face. I feel like it's guaranteed wins. It's 5 off the face.
Who you got again?
You got, I said, Cookman, Temple, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Boston College. It's 5 off the face.
Okay.
Wins. But in that middle pack, that's where it gets tough. You got North Carolina, Clemson, Virginia, NC State, Florida State. Like that middle, like that towards the back of the season, that's when it gets tough. But looking at like you said, the higher, I'm glad they are slated that late. I'm glad those matchups are slated that late.
I hear you.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Miami, Ohio. So Miami, Ohio 1, 2, 3, 4. In my mind, 6 wins off the face. They have 6. I'm not finna sit here and tell you out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're only winning 2 of those.
Look, and so okay. This is how you know I wasn't being facetious and mean towards Miami. If you recall what I said 7 minutes ago, I said,
"Hey, I hear what you said. I heard what you said,
and you count 7.
Bro, no, I count.
And impossible.
No.
Yeah. 7 and impossible.
Because listen, I really want to sit here and tell you, I see North Carolina State as a win too. I want to sit here and tell you that, and I want to also tell you Virginia as well.
Okay.
I want to tell you Virginia as well.
If we're doing this,
I'm just giving them credit and respect right now.
We're gonna
pin this one
right here. So I hadn't looked at your schedule. I have Miami of Ohio, Bethune, Temple, and BC. with an asterisk because
So that's disrespectful there.
who, Georgia Tech?
That's disrespectful.
Because I know who they hired.
I don't give a rat's behind.
And they got their stuff together.
Well, they can have it. I don't care.
All right.
We have our stuff together all year. You see what happened with Jakari back there.
Okay.
Cam with 3 picks. I don't care nothing about what that got going on over there.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't give you Louisville. I might give you Virginia. So 6.
I'm giving you Virginia and Louisville. I'm taking the 7.
Uh-huh.
I'm strong 7.
Okay.
A strong 7. But again, that's what I say here. I'm giving them respect. I see how they played against y'all last year. I see how they played against y'all last year. I see that.
The defense is returning everybody.
At some point, we gotta beat these suckers. At some point, we gotta beat North Carolina. At some point, and this is the year. This is the year. And we were this close this shit. We were this close.
The year.
This close this shit. This is the year.
Not
This is the year. Nah, man. I can say, listen.
look.
Again, it's very much so optimism. Like I say, it's definitely it's a lot of.
He
names.
feels hopeful, folks.
No, but see, to your point,
that Thursday night
it's
spring game.
It's a lot of names that was there when last year was there. They just didn't get the opportunity. So now it's more so. I'm not saying they finna wake people up because I can't tell you that. I don't know if they're going to wake people up. But I just know they were there. So they've been in that kind of office. It's just now really in the way that the law of the land now where everybody going.
I hear you.
You got no choice.
Hey, look, I woke up Cam Kitchens. He liked a couple of my tweets about him getting beat up by Florida State. So I done made that boy motivated.
No, you've been made, but that boy, he's an All-American.
Yeah, whatever.
Like first team.
Yeah, they looked at stats. They didn't look at who he did it against. But either way, he saw my tweets. He recognized them.
They still got, they got that boy James up there too up there. So it's on them. Listen, you better stop playing.
We had this conversation.
They had that, listen.
He got mad at me.
PFF now.
Yeah.
PFF now. They listen,
I
respect PFF man.
Hey, we respect no PFF man. I would like they mock draft. That's about everything else I like.
But no, it's dogs over there, and we're wrapping up. It's dogs again.
All right, so we didn't hop into UF. So look, I get you on Miami. We're gonna get time to talk about them. Don't worry. Spring game's coming. UF Graham Mertz is probably gonna be the starter over there. That's
all we got. That's all I
got. The defense, the offense, they lost 2 coordinators. I'm sorry, not 2 coordinators. 2 staffers to the NFL.
They lost a lot of transfer.
Yeah, they lost a lot. So, look, UF has a very tough schedule on top of that. We'll get into that more in the offseason. But, yeah, I hope everything burns down to the ground at UF's campus.
You got to go to the spring game with me this year, man.
Football program and stuff like that. Y'all spring game is where?
It's going to be probably at the same field in Lauderdale.
Man, that's so hot.
It's Thursday night. Is it not? Is it not Thursday night lights? Is it not?
I hope so.
But see, if it's during the day, I can't go. If it's Thursday night, you got to go with me.
Man, I'm going to get.
And you got to go to the equipment game, man.
Why?
I don't know. I got new seats. Well, I'm paying for new seats. I forgot to renew my tickets.
All right, look, see what
I'm at the 50.
We're gonna have to talk about this off camera because I don't want to say nothing bad about.
And I'm going to Tallahassee this year.
Yeah,
stop playing with me. I'm going to Tallahassee. I'm going. Hopefully, my cousin now that he is a Florida State booster. They're gonna look out for him, and give him better seats than we had that they gave him last season with Miami.
We got you, man.
You hope we get better seats. I got to sit with the fam. I got to, man. They all Florida State, so it's law of the land. They got to sell out.
We always sell out.
I was like, he almost fell on the stairs, but he didn't at the same time. But in the hater in me was like, I hope you slip, cause when y'all scored the first touchdown, he got too lit. I hope you slip. Wow. Don't fall all the way down. Just slip and catch the rim.
just don't be mad at the man for.
And Eddie just tagged us this week. The cinematic film of the game, bro.
Yeah.
All right, cuz I go and see you in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what you sent me. It's a wrap, cuz.
He sent you the right information.
Safe travels back from California. I hope you enjoyed the trip.
Hey.
But I'm going to catch you.
And this is the program podcast.
It's not the program.
No, this is Spot the Ball podcast. Guys, look, we thank you for being patient with us. We really do. We're going to post this again right after this. I know we didn't give you enough opportunity because we just came back on for the first time in a while. Mm-hmm. We thank you for sticking with us. Watch it. Love it, digest it, argue with us, tell us we trash, all that other stuff. We
I have to listen. I don't care. I'll tell somebody they suck quick. He'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I told you.
Yeah, it is what it is. And
Tim Benz, the new Charlotte Bobcats on the NFL. I'm being so serious.
we are the Bears shuffling through, taking all your kids through the night.
Hey, yo, on that note, we will see
can't
y'all
stop seeing the Super Bowl
next week
shuffle. We are
on
the
the
Bears.
Ball Podcast. This is Ron Wells. I'm Woody Leonard III. We are.
Yo.
I don't know where y'all get that. Where's like